name is Reed Dolberger. I'm President and CEO of EDGE, the Economic Development Growth Engine for Memphis and Shelby County, proud member of ULI Memphis, and pleased to be with you here this morning. Now, EDGE is essentially the economic development organization for the city of Memphis and for Shelby County. So obviously, we're pretty concerned about what goes on in those jurisdictions. But as the mayor just said so eloquently, what goes on in Hernando affects Memphis, and what goes on in Memphis affects Hernando. And that's true for all of our communities. And so while we are focused on what goes on and the work that we do in the communities we serve, we're very concerned about what the economic development environment is in all of our communities. As evidence of that, we launched a new partnership with the University of Memphis several months ago called thememphiseconomy.com. thememphiseconomy.com, which has our metro area key economic statistics and compares us to 15 of our peer communities around the nation. So I encourage you to take a look at that. It is the vital signs that Paulo just talked about, as we keep our hand on the pulse of how we are doing in our community. Now, talking about what goes on in our region and people who have experience working across borders, it is my pleasure to introduce our two next speakers. First, Kevin Woods. Many of you know Kevin as the Executive Director of the Workforce Investment Network, which covers Shelby and Fayette counties. And as an economic development organization, we work very closely with Kevin's group, so I know firsthand that he is an expert in workforce development issues, particularly in terms of training and placement. But if you don't know Kevin and you're just reading his bio that you have in your package, there's one thing that I think really jumps out, and that's that Kevin is also a member of the Shelby County School Board. And Kevin, like the other members of that organization and those of you who volunteer for those kinds of roles in your community, to me, that speaks about his passion and his commitment to work to training and education here in our city, in our county, and throughout our region. Now, what Kevin is for workforce training in terms of expertise, our other speaker, Patrick Johnston, is to construction projects throughout our region. Patrick, as you can see, is Senior Project Manager for Turner Construction. He's been in this industry for over 15 years. He's been in our community for over a decade. And he's done major projects throughout our region. But again, to me, if you look at his bio, the thing that really jumps out in terms of speaking to his expertise, and I need to read this one. So he has his AP certification from the U.S. Green Building Council in leadership in energy and environmental design. He is an expert in what he does, and he has done it throughout our community. So please join me in welcoming Kevin and Patrick.
Thank you, Reed. Wow. I must say that I don't know if we need to say anything after that presentation. Reed, you should probably finish this presentation for us. Let me again thank you for the introduction. Thank you and EDGE for being a sponsor of ULI Memphis. Obviously, the opportunity to convene mayors, community leaders, and stakeholders throughout this region is what this is all about. The opportunity to talk about issues that matter, transportation, workforce, and economic development. And I don't think Reed could have said it any better. Too often, folks come to government and say, here's a problem, how do we solve it? And when I took on this role under Mayor Strickland, I said the best thing that I can do in order to lead this work in workforce development is to get out the way and let industry lead this work and see what I can do to support. So what we want to be able to do today is have a conversation, one in which we think is very important as it relates to how we partner with industry in order to best move this city and county forward. And no great presentation is without technical difficulties, so we want to make sure that happens. I also saw that you guys had a little problem asking questions, so when Patrick and I got together to talk about this presentation, we said, well, what are some of the takeaways we want to make sure that happens today? And we thought long and hard. I said, we got regional leaders throughout the county, throughout the region, mayors. It was right before lunch. Probably the best thing we can do is make sure we get out early and don't hold you guys too long. So that's one of the things that we'll make sure that we commit to throughout this presentation. Reed mentioned to you that I was also on the Shelby County School Board. I have the great privilege, in my opinion, of really serving workforce and education from pre-K to professionalism. And it's a great opportunity to be able to stand before you today. But one of the things I did do when speaking, I see Mayor Luxford over there as well, when I presented to the county commission on why I should be considered, I said, you owe it to us to ask at least a question. And I thought that would at least get their attention. And lo and behold, they ended up asking lots of questions. And to my surprise, they chose me in the appointed role to serve in this important position. So I am grateful to be here to talk about workforce and economic development. Obviously, we can't do this work without having a strong education system that's producing a strong workforce pipeline. And that's much of what Patrick and I will discuss today. Just here, I wanted to put this up here, discussing our mission and our vision. Obviously, I wanted you to look at it for a second. I won't bore you, I won't read it. But we spent a lot of money to develop a mission and vision statement. But in short, what we do at WIN, at Workforce Investment Network, is we connect people to opportunities. And those people may be a veteran returning home from war, simply looking for an opportunity to provide for his or her family. That person that we're connected to opportunity may be an opportunity youth, where this great region leads the nation in number of young people that are neither working nor in school. So those opportunities may be with one of your companies. That opportunity may be with Turner Construction. The people that we connect to opportunities very well may be a company that's looking for great talent. And it may be a retail company looking to relocate to Memphis. It may be a new advanced manufacturing plant. We want to make sure that the Workforce Investment Board is meeting the needs of those that we intend to serve. Just clicker here. What are our points? Patrick, point at you. All right. So let me go back to you and just tell you a little bit about our organization structure. And I won't go back to that. I'll just tell you about our organization structure. Patrick, unlike you, that's why I brought a few cards, so you're in trouble. Our organization structure, we have 4 locations throughout the greater Memphis area. We have about 6 employees, a couple I see in the audience, and we also serve about 14,000 individuals. These are job seekers that come through our organizations looking for work and looking for opportunity in the greater Memphis area. We also serve, obviously, our industries, our corporations. The goal there is to make sure that we can meet the needs of industries, either those companies that are here locally or those who are considering coming here. So I consider myself, having worked 12 years in sales, and is to really see myself as an extension of economic development. Again, Reed talks about his role of making sure that we're recruiting great companies here to the city. I see myself as an extension of that, because one of the first questions they ask for is how can we count on a trained workforce? And we want to make sure that we can provide that service. Our key sectors here: advanced manufacturing, information technologies, obviously retail. We were very excited to not only get IKEA to this region, but also to be asked as a workforce partner to be a leader from a complete turnkey process. From not only when that company announced that they were coming to Memphis, but being asked to make sure that we can provide job training for those they plan to hire, information fairs, and also making sure that we continue to market that great opportunity here in the Memphis area. We talk about trucking and logistics, obviously having great partners like FedEx in the community and helping provide support to their workforce needs. And you can't talk about Memphis without talking about healthcare and our expansion of you see the constructions that's going around, which obviously is what Patrick will be talking a little more about with you today. There was an article in the Commercial Appeal back in October that talked about $7.1 billion in about 170 projects in the greater Memphis area. That's why construction is listed as our top fields in demand. Having taken on this role, I looked at where we were as a city and where we were as a region, and I focused on these are the sectors that we have jobs in, advanced manufacturing. Those are the companies that we want to talk to. But obviously when you bring in Electrolux and when you bring in the Mitsubishi, and when you have hospitals that say we want to expand our footprint in the city, then I was remiss not to be thinking about construction. $7 billion in projects. And in my first year on the job, I wasn't having conversation with those who were putting those people to work, shovel-ready jobs. Well, that changed quickly. I wanted to make sure we were part of that conversation, and we were having those type of conversations. And this clicker is going to.
Hey, point it towards the computer. I think you're.
Where's the computer? Here.
Yeah.
All right. Why you didn't tell me that, Patrick? There we go. So, solved. All right. So this posting here is just to show you the number of unique job postings. About the list that I showed you previously, about 80% of all open jobs in the region were from those sectors. 221,000 unique job posting in Shelby County, about 7,000 in Fayette. For my other regional mayors, I apologize. Those are the areas I support, but I can get information for your particular area as well. But I wanted to just paint the picture that there are a number of jobs in our region that people are hiring, and with those hiring opportunities typically lead to development projects as well. I wanted to give a shout out to our partners. I often say we can't do this work alone. And so this here paints the key picture. Edge talked about their work as the economic development arm of the city and county. But we know that we must look to them to convene industries and partners to be able to say you have a workforce development board that can support you in your needs and efforts. Our local chambers, obviously. When we look to provide training solutions, we look to our training partners. We also look to GMAT to help us develop career pathways to make sure that young people can see these opportunities early before they even know that they want to be a construction manager, that they have to first know what that is. So I often tell young people when I go to schools to speak that you don't know what you don't know. So it's very important for us to be able to create these opportunities, to be able to paint these visuals for these young people to see what's possible. Which leads me to Patrick. We talked about the development that's happening in this great city and county and throughout the region. The work that Methodist is doing as a great community partner. And this picture here leads to the transition for Patrick to talk about the work that Turner Construction has been charged to do. To not only develop sites, but to help make sure that those who live in our communities have an opportunity to go to work. And with that, I transition to Patrick.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. All right. How
about we switch sides?
Let's do that. How about that? Well, I want to thank you a lot today for having an opportunity to be up here and speak. I got a chance to attend my first Regionsmart last year, and little did I know that I'd be up here. I'm going to be old-fashioned and do this. I know that works. All right. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Kevin and I have gotten a chance to know each other over the last couple of weeks as we've been preparing this. I'm so excited about the things that are in store for the future of our city. A little bit about Turner Construction. We're a construction management firm. We specialize in general contracting, construction management. Our roots date back to 1902. We started out as a concrete subcontractor, actually working in New York, pouring subway stairs. So those are our roots. We're coming up on our 115-year anniversary here in a couple of weeks. Nationally, we have about 5,200 employees. We do around $10 to $11 billion worth of work each year across 47 different offices. But talking locally, we've been in this region and this market for the last 30 years on and off doing some projects, but for the last 10 or 11 years, we've actually had a firm presence here, opened up our office back in 2006. I moved here in 2006 to work in the healthcare arena, helping to get our office up and going here. We have about 28 full-time staff here in our local office, mostly working in healthcare, but obviously looking at opportunities in the commercial arena, industrial arena, and whatnot. So that's a little bit about who we are. I wanted to talk a little bit about the national things that we're seeing before I talk about more of the regional. So last month, Rory DeJohn, who is one of Turner's senior vice presidents, actually testified to the U.S. Senate on the workforce needs in our country. And one of the most staggering facts, if I read that, was the fact that prior to the recession in 2007, 2008, in the downturn of the economy in the construction arena, there was a certain workforce. Now that we're back on the uptick of that and the economy is getting better and more construction opportunities are coming about, we're about 100,000 workers shy of where we were, yet we're still seeing that same level of construction activity in the nation. That's a staggering fact when you look at the statistics. and the need that we have. The other thing that he talked about was also the need to engage the younger community, engage the high school students, and talk about careers in construction. You've got the workforce, and you've got the students coming out, and talking about that. And I'm going to get to kind of what some of the things that we're doing here locally as well in a minute. But if you look at the trends, you can see that the labor market is somewhat flat and continues to be somewhat flat for the projections, a little bit of a rise, but the labor need is growing dramatically, and that gap is just getting bigger and bigger. So that's a huge challenge that not only are we seeing nationally, but we're seeing locally as well. So that brings me to what I'm here mostly today to talk about is the formation of what we call the Minority Workforce Equity Program. So a little bit of a story. A couple of years ago, we're sitting around a table with one of our clients talking about a project that we're doing with Methodist of Honor Healthcare, and we were challenged. We're sitting there talking back and forth, and they said, guys, what can we do to actually, we've got fully engagement. We know we have a good plan for minority women-owned business enterprise engagement, but how can we actually extend a little bit further and actually get into these communities and actually build that workforce? We know that Memphis has some high unemployment areas, certain zip codes or certain areas in the city. How can we work together with you guys to actually get in there and actually bring that workforce to the jobs that are coming? So we started brainstorming, and we formed a committee. That committee is engaged with us, Methodist Healthcare, Baird Heights Transitional Center, which is an organization here locally that helps veterans get back to work, and a couple of other subcontractors in the community. And so we started this program. It's a grassroots program. It's been a great fun to be a part of. But the best way I can kind of show you what this program actually does is it actually takes the local workforce, the unemployed workforce, and it takes the subcontracting community on these jobs that we have going on throughout the city, and it brings them together in a career fair. And a career fair sounds somewhat easy, but it's going into these communities. It's not just saying we're going to have a career fair at this one time. It's going in and it's actually finding those opportunities and trying to bring them in. It doesn't come without its challenges, but that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day, is how can we just pull together the need and talk about how there are good opportunities in construction. Some of the other trends that you may be aware of, may not be aware of, but back between the mid 80s and the early 2000s, the average age of a construction worker in the field was about 36. That age has now grown to 43. So you can see that our workforce is actually aging as well, and that's a big challenge, because we need a lot of the younger folks getting into the workforce. So what does our career fair look like? Again, I talked about, this was a couple years ago. Back in 2015, we were able to pull off 2 career fairs. The first one, we had 15 different subcontracting firms come and be a part of. We held it at a church community, Divine Life Community Church. And the next one we had about 20 different participants from the subcontracting community. Last year, a little bit of a slower year, we only were able to do 1. But right now, we're actually working together. Kevin and I have been talking. We're working together. We're going to engage Wynn and his network of employees or of applicants who are looking for work, and actually bring together. We've got a great opportunity. We're working down the street. You'll see the 2 cranes down there on Union, where we're building the new 9-story hospital for Methodist Healthcare, and there's great opportunities there to engage. Certainly doesn't come without its challenges. Some of the challenges we've seen is being able to just track the statistics of how many people actually successfully came through that program. I'll share a story here at the end of one success story, but it's being able to track those statistics on how many people actually got hired. But it's also things like, unskilled labor, actually getting them educated. And so Kevin and I have been talking about what can we do together collectively to bridge that.
So Patrick, you're right. The challenges you've identified on my right, I guess the audience left side of the screen here, are not unique to the construction trade, but many of our in-demand sectors. That you need to be able to find skilled workers. And so what we want to use this opportunity for, and Patrick and I discussed, is to be able to share some of the things that the workforce boards, your local workforce board, you go back to your respective communities, that can help address these challenges. I often give the example, Patrick, that our workforce system is often like an appendix. It's there, you don't notice it, typically until it screws up. And then by that time, you wonder if it's too late to do anything about it. Ultimately, we should be, the mayors across our region should see your workforce system as your arm of improving your local workforce and economic development opportunities, taking full advantage. As the chief elected officials in your community, how are you taking that opportunity? And so we use this opportunity to share with you that your local workforce system have education and retraining dollars. We'll spend about $1 million in the greater Memphis community retraining individuals in different trades. One being, now working with Patrick, would be partnering with TCAT and making sure that the construction trade and those needs that he has within his organization and others can be met there.
Yeah. You know, one of the other, some of the feedback we had from some of these career fairs is, hey, we found some great talent, but they had transportation issues where they couldn't actually get from their home to where the actual construction work is. And so Kevin and I have been talking.
All right, Patrick, you're spot on there. Obviously, listen to the previous presentation. Transportation in many of our regions continue to be a challenge. But one, we do have a public transportation system in our area, and we want to make sure that the public knows that we offer transportation vouchers to be able to ride the public transportation system. But in addition, individuals that are going through training programs, that are going to work, that are going to school, we also provide gas cards for those individuals as well through our incentive program.
And then the other aspect of it is, you know, getting the youth aware. I talked a little bit about how, in Rory's testimony, that you know, talked about getting into the school systems. And so one of the things that we've done is Turner's actually gotten together with a few other entities in town and other organizations, and we've actually started an ACE mentoring program. We're in 2 high schools right now. So again, we're trying to spearhead that. I know there's a lot of different initiatives, and we're trying to spearhead that to actually show about viable careers in construction to the youth force.
Patrick, again, another great example of what Turner Construction is doing to get into our schools. We mentioned before, and Reed mentioned about me being on the school board. I think one of the most important things we can do throughout the region is making sure young people know about the career opportunities. I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned again, an organization like GMAC, making sure young people know about these career pathways. Youth Bill is a grant that we received. I think I saw Alan earlier in this audience as well, of bringing grant programs to your community, to giving young people, particularly young people with barriers, the opportunity to learn opportunities in the construction trade. I think too will help increase your talent pipeline. And so, Patrick, with that, what are some of the other next steps that you think we ought to be able to do, or that our local officials can take back to their respective communities? I'll start, if you don't mind, and make us another selfish plug. Again, utilize your local workforce boards. Take advantage of your nonprofit entities in your local workforce system and making sure that they're helping to drive economic development opportunities in your respective communities.
You know,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you know, like we talked about too, it's encouraging the you know, getting the veteran population back in, working with organizations such as Bear Heights. You may have some organizations within your community that actually have a program to actually help steerhead getting the veteran forces back into a good career opportunity. And then one of the things Kevin and I have been talking about is partnering up together with this with the annual high school career expo.
Correct. We offer an annual high school expo that we reach out to every high school throughout the county and region. We extended that this past year to Fayette County, invite over 100 companies and our training providers into one location on one set day to be able to let these young people know about the career opportunities that are available. Many of these young people were actually given job offers because they were seniors by some of our respective companies on that day. So we'll continue to host that annual event to make sure that we continue to make young people aware of employment opportunities. And finally, Patrick, share our success stories. Yeah. Things that are working, having the opportunity to be before ULI today, I think allows us to be able to share that message about how industries are leading and making a difference in workforce and economic development opportunities.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I want to share one quick story. In one of these meetings that we were having, kind of trying to develop this committee and what does this really look like, someone asked, what's the definition of success? And everybody kind of looked at each other like, well, everybody has their own ideas of success. One success story that we have is a woman who actually came to one of these career fairs and was hired by one of the electrical subcontractors that we were working with. And she is still employed to this day. That was about a year and a half ago. And she's working as a warehouse manager and has a good quality of life. And I actually ran into this subcontractor a few days ago. I said, hey, is she still working? Is it still working? You know, do you want to participate in this next upcoming career fair? And he said, yeah, she is. So this is a great opportunity. That's one story. We need about 1,000 or 10,000 more of those to truly make it successful. But I'm confident in working with Kevin today and working with the other organizations in town, and this can be very successful. We're all in this together. This is our city. This is our home, and we all want to make it better. So I'm just excited to be here today to talk a little bit more about it, and thank you so much.
Again, thank you all for this opportunity. No good presentation doesn't close without a quote, and obviously this one here from the late, great Arnold Palmer. The road to success is always under construction. With that, we thank you for this great opportunity.